You were just talking about what we want in life, and therefore, based on that, being productive and getting the things done you want to get done. But how do you know what you want in life? And I think that's also something you spoke in one of your YouTube videos, and I found it super interesting and mega valuable. I think most people don't even know that, where you talk a bit about more, it's not so much about what you want in your head, it's very emotional. Can
Yes.
you elaborate on that and explain this to people, because this will open a lot of eyes.
Yeah. So what you want,
What's up, guys? Today I'm back with another podcast episode. It has been a while, I know. This time, a very special guest, someone that I learned a lot from when it comes to dopamine detox, controlling your dopamine cravings, how we can incorporate certain routines in your life, and why you should also very likely listen to that topic a little more closely. Working concentrated on certain tasks for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes without being distracted is gonna become more and more rare. It's gonna become a very valuable asset to own that you have the ability to work on one thing and one thing only for 30 minutes or even an hour, and not having the urge to check your phone. That's how you can get shit done, be very productive. So Andrew is, I would say, an expert when it comes to productivity, and all these topics around dopamine cravings. He has tried out lots of different routines. You can check out his YouTube channel. You will get a lot of inspiration from there. He's currently now residing in Bali. We just had a chat. We talked about so many different topics, especially when it comes about why you might not be so motivated on working the things you are working right now, and why is that it, and how you can find out what you want in life. Super great talk, and I'm very grateful he accepted my invitation. So it's going to be a lot of interesting topics for you guys to listen, especially your journey as a poker player, when you want to maximize your productivity, when you want to get shit done, but also when you don't really feel motivated to study poker. Maybe you're a bit burned out. Maybe you're stressed out. Why is that? How you can find out what are the reasons? Is poker something really for you, or are there other reasons? So a lot to talk about. Check him out on YouTube and all his other socials. And that's the kind of content you want to consume when you're in social media. That's where I would say social media is great. That's where you will massively benefit from. So yeah, just enjoy the episode. If you have any questions or insights that you want to share, drop it in the comments. And now let's get into the content.
let's do it.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining me here today. It is an absolute pleasure to have someone on the podcast that inspired me a lot. I've come across your content, especially through dopamine deep detox, and as a professional poker player, a very important topic. And we're going to be talking about that later. First and foremost, welcome. How are you? How's life in Bali?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Life in Bali's good. As I mentioned before the call, bit of a nightmare getting here, but whenever people ask me how Bali is, I describe it as energetic. It's difficult to be tired here, so really excited to be here.
Why is that? Why is it so energetic?
Good question. I think there's lots of factors. One, it's in the jungle, so everything's crazy. I'm from the UK. I grew up in a country called Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia, then moved to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And the UK it feels like an old person country now. There's no dangerous animals. The weather's kind of calm. Whereas here, there's snakes, there's spiders, the weather's crazy, boiling hot, torrential rain. You're driving through, you're in a jungle. And then the people here are either nomads, entrepreneurs, or backpackers. So there's
Mm-hmm.
lots of energy and enthusiasm here. And the people that live here, the people that live here are also kind, and yeah, energetic's a good word to describe it.
Do you miss the UK?
I was actually in the UK for 3 months over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just arrived in Bali
Visiting
from the
friends and
UK.
family, I guess, as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So is there anything that you miss from the UK now, since you are in Bali, that you miss home, or are you just very happy in Bali?
Yeah. I mean, the craziness is both a gift and a curse. So with that craziness, sometimes it's nice to go back to the UK where it's a lot more calm.
Mm-hmm.
Here, one of the worries is about the food hygiene and stuff like that, where it's just not really a concern in the UK.
Yeah.
So whilst I like that energy, there's always times where you feel like you just want to calm down a little bit and chill.
Yeah. So sometimes you struggle a bit to to calm down, to settle down? Is it something that you need to actively work on, or you just go with the flow, you just accept the way things are in Bali?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been here for a couple days, but I was in Thailand for 3 months last year, and it's more like subconscious. It's not really something where you have to like calm down. It's not that extreme. It's
Yeah.
just consciously you're slightly elevated. If you're going on a walk, there's 1% of my brain that's occupied by other things. And it's almost like, yeah, I guess at all points, there's 1% of your brain that's slightly more on edge and less calm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been
Oh,
to these parts of the planet, Southeast
no,
Asia?
Asia, not at all yet. I think the furthest I went traveling to the east was Turkey, Istanbul.
Nice.
My girlfriend is from Bulgaria, so I'm often in Sofia, but not really further than that. A lot of European countries, America, of course. That's usually the destinations I've been traveling to. But I would love to. I really would love to go to Asia. I very often also connected with poker travels, poker tournaments, whatever is going on in the world. And usually when we go on a vacation, we have so many beautiful countries in Europe, especially the southern ones, that it's a little bit easier to go there than going on a 10-hour travel somewhere further away. So, but we definitely have it on our agenda. What was the country that you consider, wow, awesome, great, best country I've ever been to? That's my absolute top favorite country so far.
Yeah. So Lisbon, Portugal was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thailand was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
UK will probably always be home. Even now, you may hear in the background there's a lizard which is making noise, which is just something you don't get in lots of other parts of the
Yeah.
planet. Lisbon was yeah, probably Portugal, UK, Thailand, and
Interesting.
now hopefully Bali, Indonesia.
I've heard a lot of people recommending Portugal. One of my friends also intends to move to Portugal. Some sort of like a secret tip, I would say, in Europe, because most people Spain, Italy, Barcelona, Amsterdam, maybe. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
a secret tip as well. What are your plans for this year? How long do you intend to stay? Also business wise, pretty sure you work on some projects. What is it? What is Andrew Kirby trying to achieve in 2023?
Yeah. So the flight to Bali was a one-way ticket. So my girlfriend and I are here. We have no idea how long we'll be here for. We'll
Mm-hmm.
stay for a minimum month and see what it's like
You're in
in
an
terms
Airbnb
of
right
business.
now, or did you rent something more long term?
Yes.
Okay.
Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. In terms of business, there's a few different projects that I'm happy and excited to be working on. One of them is the synthesizer community.
I was about to ask that as
So
well. I signed up as well, but I apologize. I haven't had the time to dig deeper yet.
it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's a really cool community. And basically what happened was I worked really hard with the YouTube channel, the dopamine
Mm.
detox stuff, the productivity stuff. And one of the core motivators of that period was to basically earn enough money so that I didn't have to stress about money in the future.
Okay,
And
that worked
after
out
reaching
well.
that point,
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. And after reaching that point, I did a lot of different experiments. I was just trying a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that Naval Ravikant mentions that there's two different primary forms of leverage in the modern era. One of them is code and one of them is content. And there was this community called indie hackers, which helps people earn an income using code. But I
Mm-hmm.
realized that there wasn't a community online for content, or at least educational content creators. So I started the synthesizer community. There's now 4,000 members, many of which are doing very cool things, earning an income through content, monetizing their knowledge. So there's that community. And then also recently, there's been a big shift between successful consultants that previously got their clients through advertising that are now getting more into content. So I've been diving more into helping them grow using content as well, as more of a consultant myself. So those are the two main projects that I'm working on at the moment, as well as getting my own content systems back up and running.
Yeah, I've. Would you like to describe or explain to us how school.com works? Because we can find you on school.com/synthesizers. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
How does it work? How does this platform work for anyone who has not heard about it yet?
Yeah. So brief history is there's this guy called Sam Ovens. who pioneered a lot of the educational info space. He had this course called Consulting Accelerator, which is deemed by many to be the pioneering course that helped people earn an income online.
Yeah.
And he pivoted from that, which was a very, very successful business, into a software product called school.com, which is basically a community-based platform where you can host your own community, you can go and join other people's communities, and it's kind of like Facebook groups, but without the noise and people complaining. Or it's kind of like Discord, but without the headaches of just constant messages. So it's more of a calm place, really good for making connections. People in my community have formed romantic relationships, best friends have been formed, all with the shared passion of creating educational content and following your obsessions to earn an income online.
Yeah. What is your role in that? So you offer that platform. Do you post content? Do you share advice? Do you host webinars, or what is it that what you're giving to the community or to the people on the platform in your group?
Yeah. So throughout my whole YouTube journey, growing the YouTube channel, monetizing it, I realized that the whole time what I was actually doing was synthesizing. I was going out there, I was experiencing life, I was consuming information, I was trying to reach my goals, I was filtering all that information through my own unique brain, and then I was summarizing and synthesizing everything that I'd learned and experienced and creating content as a result of that. So my initial content was about Stoicism because I was really interested in Stoicism at the time. Then it moved on to personal development and productivity. And now later, as I've had more business success, I'm now synthesizing the lessons I've learned through business. So when I saw the word synthesizer, it resonated so deeply with me. It was finally like, that's what I am. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. So my role in the Synthesizer School, which is my community, is to synthesize how to synthesize, which is what I've done this whole time.
How would you describe synthesizing to someone who might not grasp the concept of that word?
Yeah, I would basically say that it's somebody that goes out, experiences life, filters everything they experience throughout them, and then creates based on what they've experienced. So there's three parts. You consume, you filter through your own self, and you create based on that.
Okay. I love it. So everyone who's listening, who's looking for great people, and this is something I've experienced on my journey as well, and this is something where I don't get it when people come to me, Ben, I'm alone, I don't know where to go, especially as a poker player. It's very unlikely that you have friends in your circle that might also aspire a similar journey or just trying to make money online. But there's so many opportunities out there, whether it's forums, groups, Discord, school.com, right? Just the opportunities are endless. And I think there's so many positive and supportive communities where there's literally no excuse to not connect, to not surround yourself with supportive and like-minded people. So great project. By the way, you talked about Stoicism, a concept that I share as much as I can, especially for a poker player and in a very emotional, challenging game. I just by accident have it next to me. I can recommend this book. I think it's a great entry. 1 page a day for 1 year. It's not a big of a commitment. If you skip a day or two, you read 2 or 3 pages a day. I think it's a great way to start your journey of a more stoic life. I always say you don't need to go hardcore and meditate 3 hours a day, right? Our day is. I sometimes feel like this optimization and self-improvement can also get to a very toxic level where it's just going to stress you out. Have you experienced similar levels? I mean, when you look at your YouTube, it feels like you have someone like optimize, right? But has it at some point in your journey reached a level where you also had to tell yourself, okay, stop. I gotta slow things down?
Yeah, kind of. The thing that I was thinking of as you were talking is that all of these different productive habits that people recommend, like NoFap, morning routines, cold showers, meditation, all of these things have benefits. Nobody can deny that these things have benefits. But my thesis on productivity is that define what you want, then define the very few activities that you need to do that if you do will make it unreasonable to get what you want. Only focus on those things, ignore everything else. So yes, those things are productive, but are they as productive as other things that you could be doing? So this whole philosophy is kind of like minimalism, but instead
Mm-hmm.
of minimalism for things, it's minimalism for activities. So you could call it something like essentialism.
Yeah.
And that allows me to make progress. And anyone that I've recommended this to says the same thing. They're able to make progress towards their goals without feeling overwhelmed and stressed that they have to do 100 different things every day in order to keep up with the recommendations of the current productivity YouTubers.
Yeah. I have a question, Myron. It's very important that I don't forget. But before I get to this, are there still what are the routines you're still sticking to from all the routines you have tried out? What is something that had the most impact that you're still doing up until today? Or is it just, I don't do anything anymore, I'm productive, I just do the things what I want, I get up and get straight to work?
Yeah, it's really that. There's
Okay,
times that I do a cold shower, I go to the gym. I mean,
of
brushing
course.
your teeth, I would recommend you do regularly. Going to the gym, I'd recommend
What a
you do
great advice.
regularly. Like, these are the core things where
Yeah,
you can't be too essentialist and stop
yeah,
doing these things.
yeah.
Shower regularly, but that's pretty much it.
Okay. You don't meditate, you don't journal or any of these?
Ah, yes. So the one thing is journaling.
Mm-hmm.
But my journaling's different. My journaling is always focused on what's the goal, what's the problem, and then I
Mm-hmm.
write about the bottleneck that's stopping me from getting to the goal. It's
Okay.
not like a dear diary.
Yeah.
But what do you do?
I've been through different phases as well. I like to integrate things into my day that have benefits that I'm doing anyway. Eating healthy, you have to eat anyway, right? Doesn't cost me any extra time. You have to shower. I'm big on the cold. I haven't been sick in 10 years. I clearly see the benefits. Doesn't bother. It's still a
Nice.
challenge in the morning, so I do it anyway. And I realized also for myself that the whole concept around dopamine and paying attention, I do believe that
Hmm.
working focused for 30, 45, 60 minutes straight will become a rare asset. In your
Hmm.
team, people hiring people, you want to hire people that can work without distractions. It literally will become, it is already a valuable asset to have these people in your
Hmm.
team. So of course, I want to also pay attention to myself. This is where I spend extra time on a daily basis, meditating, or even if I read, doesn't necessarily have to be meditating. Even if I go out for a walk, I don't want to look at my phone. I want to do something
Hmm.
deliberately every day, 20, 30 minutes, where I say, hey, I'm just going to be doing this. I focus on that. Not just working. Of course, if I work, I want to
Hmm.
work by some extra effort, an extra exercise, whether it's meditating, whether it's reading, where I train my brain to work on something I might not necessarily enjoy 100%. Where it's like, all right, let's get this done. Let's get it out of the day. I accomplish something. And that's pretty much it. I, of course, work out. I do sports. But there used to be times I would get up. I would do a stretching. I would make a juice. I would
Hmm.
journal. I would say affirmations. But at some point I realized, okay, I can't spend 3 hours in the morning to do all these routines. I also have to get shit done, you know. So
Hmm.
that's pretty much what I'm sticking today. And then I'm trying to keep it simple. Sleep,
Nice.
good food, good diet, doing my
Yeah.
sport, good friends, good relationships. Like just these four pillars. If I have them, and then I always say you don't need to be perfect. You got to be solid in these because you will slack. And if I would
Hmm.
rate it on a scale from 0 to 10, be a 6, be a 7. You will have certainly a few days where you're not going to sleep well, but don't try to have it 2 days in a row. I made my peace with not trying to be perfect in those. And that's enough. That will do the job, at least for me, and what I've also realized for so many other people. Because I've also seen now so many other people who stress out about it, who get burned out. And
Hmm.
that's not the point either.
I think that's a really valuable point, that when it comes to productivity, good is good enough.
Yeah.
Because if you push yourself too much, then you won't be consistent.
Yeah.
And whenever I've tried to really ramp my productivity up to 10, trying crazy diets or whatever,
Hmm.
it just lasts for a very short period of time. That's a
Yeah.
great point.
It's not very sustainable. It reminds me, by the way, of one of the concepts you share in your YouTube videos, where it's about, I think you called it the beer mode. It might
Oh,
sound a
yeah.
bit weird, but it's very, very much true to also give yourself that time off away from the things you're working on. That's why usually once a year, I go somewhere for a week, somewhere in a lone cottage, just spending time away from social media. And the most amazing ideas, the most progress I made in everything in my life came from these days. Just
Mm,
it's crazy. It's absolutely insane when you also just accept sometimes being slow, being away, not working on things, and just giving your brain a bit of that really much resonated. And I can highly recommend to this to everyone. Check this. I think it was called
Coffee mode.
Coffee Mode and Beer Mode. Exactly. Yeah. Great
Yeah.
video.
So many people measure their productivity by amount of hours in front of a laptop.
Yeah.
But really, productivity should be measured towards progress made towards a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. You were just talking about what we want in life, and therefore, um, based on that, being productive and getting the things done you want to get done. But how do you know what you want in life? And I think that's also something you spoke in one of your YouTube videos, and I found it super interesting and mega valuable. I think most people don't even know that, where you talk a bit about more, it's not so much about what you want in your head, it's very emotional.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that and explain this to people, because this will open a lot of eyes.
Yeah. So what you want can not be solved through your mind. To figure out what you want, look at your past behavior.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at everything that you do on a day-to-day basis, that reveals what you really want. And what many people really want is the pleasure that comes from social media or whatever the case is. You
Yeah.
think that you want something else. And whenever you journal about the question, what do I want? You'll come up with a load of theoretical answers. But what you really want is dictated by what you do. So look at your emotions, and that will reveal what you actually want, not what you want to want or what you think that you want or what you think it's right to want. It's fully emotional.
Yeah. So basically, how make you things feel?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think that all humans want are to feel certain emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe that certain actions or certain outcomes or achieving certain things will make us feel certain emotions, which is why we want to achieve those things. But really, we just want to feel certain emotions.
Yeah. Did you have a lot of people coming to you and say, Andrew, I tried to make money online, to make YouTube videos, to create content, but I don't have the motivation to sit down, to research, to do the things. It still requires hard work, right? Or to at least put in some work, to read some books or educate yourself, whatever. Some of the content needs to come somewhere, or to write a book. For us in our poker community, is to sit down and study. You need to study the game in order to make money from it. You need to understand the statistical likelihoods. You have to learn some basic math around it. And where I get this question a lot, so I was wondering, how's it for you? It's like, hey, I'm not feeling motivated. Like, what should I do? Do you have a recommendation? Like, what would be your advice to those people with these problems?
Yeah. I made the majority of the money that I've made online through a cohort-based course that helped people beat procrastination. So this was something that I've looked into a lot. And the things we were just talking about it being emotional, is at the core of everything. So I view behavior as dictated by two things. Like a car has an engine that pulls you forwards. We have certain emotions that pull you towards action. And you have certain activities like a brake in a car that pull you away from action, that slow you down. And if you look at the actions that pull you towards action, the engine, it's either intrinsic motivation, you enjoy doing the activity just for the sake of doing the activity, or extrinsic motivation, you want what that activity will bring you. So if you're lacking motivation, either you lack extrinsic motivation, you don't really care about the outcome that that thing is going to bring you, or you lack intrinsic motivation, that you don't enjoy doing the activity, or you have the brakes on, meaning you have some emotions that are holding you back, which could be fear of failure. It could be insecurity or fear of judgment around doing the activity, or it could be boredom or instant gratification addiction or distractions or whatever. But to change your behavior, the only way you do it is to modify your emotions. Either find a way to enjoy it more, which is intrinsic motivation, find a way to desire the outcome of doing the activity more, which is extrinsic motivation, or try and understand what's the thing that's holding you back. Do you have some kind of fear or anxiety, or why do you not enjoy doing the activity? So you can release the brakes.
So would you say that trying a dopamine detox in order to at least eradicate the likelihood of someone just being overly addicted to dopamine cravings and therefore having a hard time working concentrated and feeling it very painful to study, to sit down, and then once you did it and you still struggle, then they might have, let's say, a clearer answer on where the problem might be, in that it may be either other emotions or at least something, okay, they just don't enjoy it and they should be looking for something else. Like what
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like some practical steps to eradicate, to get answers. Like what is the problem? What is the root problem of why am I not motivated to work or to procrastinate?
Yeah. I think if you find yourself spending a lot amount of time on activities that provide instant gratification, like gaming or social media or porn, it reveals to you that what you really want is pleasure more than you want the other activities that you think that you should be doing. So just understanding that fact and not judging yourself for it can make a lot of progress, because a lot of people don't even realize that that's the thing that they really want. So if you look at your behavior, you identify that, then if you realize that pleasure will never bring you what you want, it will temporarily ease your pain, but all pleasure that you experience creates more pain down the road. And if you understand that, the desire for pleasure decreases. So that's the understanding that leads to you naturally wanting to do things like dopamine detoxing, which is where you naturally find yourself wanting to switch off your devices more. You naturally find yourself wanting to put away your laptops and just spending a day in the woods or whatever. You can also force it without that understanding, just by creating a prescription for yourself to just spend some time without your phone. And I recommend people doing this.
Yeah.
And I think this can have massive short-term benefits, but I think the real long-term benefits come when you understand that pleasure won't bring you the fulfillment that you want. And if you really deeply emotionally understand that, then the desire for pleasure decreases. So you naturally find yourself doing dopamine detoxing, which can be more of a long-term fix.
Yeah. Do you have any things in your life, any routines incorporated where you say, okay, at this hour I'm not using my phone, or is it just natural for you to have the willpower to execute on certain routines naturally where you're not going to be using your phone, or if it's something you're deliberately integrated in your life that you're still sticking on to up until today?
I think if you really have the emotional understanding that pleasure won't bring you happiness, you don't even need discipline to resist.
Fair enough.
But
good point.
Deep work is something that I do regularly. That's very important to me.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can do 8 hours of work in 2 hours or 45 minutes or an hour if you just get rid of everything and just remove the distractions. It's crazy how much you can get done.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a period of time where there's absolutely no distractions. And apart from that, there's always periods of my day where I don't go on my phone if I'm with my girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
It comes naturally. But in the beginning, I had to force it.
Yeah. Very interesting. And I've also realized this for myself. I still like to, I'm German. We like rules. We like to have strict giving orders also to ourselves. So I think what is important, what at least helped me the most, I think just doing it once and then falling back to your old routines. Of course, it's a nice kickstart, as you said, like doing one dopamine detox for one day, but then if you don't do it for another 30 days, it will have very little impact. So I think consistency is key. I think starting small, just saying, hey, if I'm going to the toilet, I'm not going to take my phone. And it's also not binary. It will still happen that you take it out of habit. Don't think like, oh my God, all my progress is gone. All right, it happened. The next time try to, or when you realize, put it away. Just being on your phone, 50% of being on the toilet is still also progress, right? It takes time. And I think in these days, it's like too often I see people, it's either black or white. Oh my God, I had a progress of 3 days. I slipped once. Now all my progress is gone. No, you improved like 80-90%. That's absolutely huge. And I like having these small things throughout the day. It just don't require a lot of effort, but they will stack up. They will add up. At some point, it's naturally that you do something, or when you brush your teeth, you brush your teeth. When you cook, you cook. Just having these one activities and being more in charge of when you're going to be using your phone and not just doing it out of boredom. I feel like most of the time we're doing it out of boredom and not really making a conscious decision. Hey, I want to check out what's happening on social media. What are my friends doing? I'm interested. It's not really like this anymore.
100%. And in terms of a practical tip, I would show you my phone home screen, but I'm using my phone for this camera. But I found that most times you open up your phone, you don't know what you're doing on your phone, and you click on something that entices you. So I've removed everything from my home screen apart from the things that I'm going to be using to capture things.
Yeah.
So I have the camera app at the bottom to capture pictures. I have the notes app to capture thoughts, and
Yeah.
everything else, if I want to use it, I have to search for it.
Yeah.
So that way I'm only being intentional when I'm using my phone and not being reactive.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many small things. I also try to, on all the social media platforms, anything that distracts me, also people I'm following, I'm muted. Like my Twitter feed now is like super. I also cleaned it up last week because you start following people,
Mhm.
you know, and then they like this content, and you know, you shouldn't be taking it personally either way if someone is not following you. Also defollowed a lot of
Mhm.
people or unfollowed a lot of people. Same for Instagram. And I have a similar approach with my phone. I put them somewhere in a folder, the apps that are distracting me. So I have to put in some
Mhm.
effort to go there. Turn off notifications. There are like smaller things that you can do that will also help you a lot. So it's a great advice.
Nice. Yeah, at some point, I would be curious to hear what you think are the fundamental elements that lead to someone being a very, very, very great poker player.
First and foremost, and I think this is something you very likely have experienced as well, at the end of the day, it's a certain outcome that you're working towards. Very often, it's the financial freedom. Same with poker. You
Mhm.
know, your own boss, you play a few hours a week, you make some money, you can travel the world. But the very first thing, and I think it very much resonates with your audience as well, that people too often want the lifestyle, the outcome, but they don't want anything that is in between. And that is a bit of a problem. And that's where, hey, I'm not motivated to study. I have a downswing. Things are not going so well. I feel stressed out. I feel depressed, whatever. Well, it's
Mhm.
probably because you don't want the journey. You don't want the progress. You don't want anything that comes. You fell in love with that idea of being that traveling poker player that sees Las Vegas
Mm.
and all the cities, and you see these YouTube videos of these high rollers like playing in these fancy casinos. And I think it's also a bit similar with YouTube. You know, you see the YouTube star traveling the world, meeting great people and exciting people, but they don't actually see the amount of effort. I mean, if you just scroll through your YouTube channel, if you just do a bit of the math, the amount of things you had to go through, like the books you read, the routines you tried out. You tried so many different routines from people from the history, right? And you probably, of course, had hard days where you didn't want to do it, but most of the time it's just the things you wanted to do, and that's what you get you there. Speaking about
Mhm.
extrinsic motivation, and I think whatever it is, when you have that intrinsic motivation, you don't mind doing it. Like I don't mind working hard because I know where I want to get and what I want to achieve, and I enjoy competing.
Mhm.
I enjoy poker. Like it doesn't bother me that much. And as you said, and I think then if it's always hard work and has to go with discipline, it's not sustainable. How do you see
Nice.
that?
I agree. I agree. It's the intrinsic motivation. So there's this statistic that I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's something like 99%, or I think it's 90% of podcasts quit before episode 7. And of the remaining 10%, 9% of them, so almost all of the people, 99% of people quit before episode 21. And
Okay,
the reason for this is
that's a
because they
crazy
start the
statistic.
podcast in order to grow the audience.
Yeah,
But when they start and they don't immediately see the audience, then there's nothing to drive them.
yeah,
Whereas if you really want to go and you rely on intrinsic motivation, you do it because you enjoy doing it, you'll keep doing it for as long as necessary. And then the results will come as a byproduct of your intrinsic motivation. So I fully
yeah.
agree.
So is it then fair to say to some of the people to just be very honest and straight and say, listen, maybe that YouTube journey, online content creation journey might not be for you, or at least sit down. What is it really that you want? Like, why are you doing it in the first place, right? So, I mean, people are talking
Mm-hmm.
about the why. Why is it? And
Yeah.
just spend some time somewhere to reflect on where you want to go.
Yeah.
What else would
I
you
mean,
tell
when I
them?
had
Or,
the, yeah,
mm,
when I had the cohort-based course that helped people beat procrastination, the worst students were the actual students because they would come to me and they'd be procrastinating on doing their essays. And I would say to them, okay, so you're studying for this degree. Do
mhm.
you care about what this degree will bring you? And they're like, no, not really. I'm just doing this because my parents want me to. Okay, so you have zero extrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy the degree? No, I hate what I'm studying. Okay, so you have no intrinsic motivation. Of course, you're going to be procrastinating. That is the rational byproduct of not wanting the outcome and not enjoying the process.
Yeah.
You should be procrastinating because you just shouldn't be studying that
Yeah.
degree.
It actually reminds me of one of your YouTube videos where you brought this up with the example of studying. And you actually said someone procrastinates when he studies something that he doesn't want to study. He actually studies enough. He studies a lot considering that he doesn't want it in the first place. Right? If you put that from that perspective, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we have our limits. And when your mind says, I don't want that thing, of course you're going to be procrastinating. It's normal, right?
100%.
You're fighting. I think a great book also to understand that we have a human and we have a chimp. It's called The Chimp Paradox. Have you read it? I highly
Yep.
recommend that also for poker players because it also helps you to understand your tilt, where a lot of these emotional survival instincts are coming from. And it just, and when you understand, he describes it very well. Your chimp is so much stronger. That's why sometimes we overreact. And in these moments, your chimp is telling you, I don't want this. So you sit down, you study, you have this human all being all rational. Hey, we should be studying this because our parents told so. And then you have this mega strong chimp gorilla fighting you. No, you don't want to do that. And he's 10 times stronger than you. There's some interesting science also on that. That's why so often we outburst, we get angry, and later on we realize it once the chimp disappears. He unleashed all his emotions, that gorilla. And it's almost impossible to just imagine a fight, human against a chimp or gorilla. You have no chance. So you need to have it on your
Very
side,
true.
right?
Very true. And I even remember reading from an evolutionary biology perspective, it's only that tiny rational part of our brain that's developed in the most recent parts of evolution. So it's
Okay.
tiny and very weak compared to the emotional part of our brain, like a chimpanzee. So of course it's weaker. Of course you're emotional. Of
Yeah,
course the emotion dictates your behavior.
true. What are something that interests me very much right now? What are the people you're learning from right now? What are the people that you're looking up to and that you get a lot of inspiration from?
Yeah, probably someone recently is Layla Hormozi.
Mm.
Have you seen the second brains that I've created?
You did one on Alex as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
That's
I've created one for Layla. And
okay.
basically for
Really?
anyone listening, yes, I transcribe everyone's videos, everyone's podcast. I scrape their Twitter, download all their blog posts, and put it in a searchable database. So that instead of watching a 3 hour long interview where there's 2 minutes that you're really looking for,
Yeah.
you can search out of all of the content for those 2 minutes. And I created one for loads of people. And the one that I'm spending most time in recently is Layla Hormozi. She's really good.
What inspires you the most about her?
I think that she has really practical insights on how to play this great online game that we're all playing. So if you look at the definition of a video game, and then you look at what we do when we sit down and we work every day on our computer, by definition, we're playing a video game. We tap on our keyboards, we move our mouse, we interact with the screen. There's other players of the game. We can choose our character, YouTuber, synthesizer, poker player. It's all a video game. And she has really great insights on how to effectively play the video game.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting. What is your intrinsic motivation, by the way, doing all that?
I love it. I
Why?
love it.
What do you love about it? It's just helping people, just like sharing the journey.
Lots
or...
of elements. Lots of
Okay.
elements. That's really cool. It's also now at the point where it feels like I'm on the cutting edge of something really big and really massive. So there's a part of me that has a theory that because I got lucky and I had a mentor that told me to create content 4 years ago, it
Okay.
almost feels like I've seen what the future of work will look like, which I believe will involve people working for themselves, following their own curiosities, their own intrinsic motivation, to find weird niche things that they're able to add value in. So previously in your town, in your village, there would be maybe 100 jobs for you to choose from, lawyer, doctor, whatever. So you would have to pick the job and then you'd have to mold your personality to fit that job. But now because of the internet, there's an infinite amount of jobs for us to have.
Yeah.
So instead of molding ourselves to fit that job, we should double down on who we are, our own obsessions, and there will be a job that fits us perfectly. And I think that because of that advice that I got 4 years ago to create content and the positions I'm in now, I'm able to see that this is the future of work, because you're able to do what you love, you're able to earn good money as a result of it, and you're able to create an impact. That I believe that this is what the world will be trending towards and what more and more people will be going towards. So it's really fun and really exciting for me to feel like I'm pioneering that thing which could be the future of work.
I mean, not only that, I have to give you credit for that. You're also very much pioneering on. I mean, there has been content on dopamine detox, surely, but the way you have put it in a very practical way, I haven't seen anything. I mean, then a lot of people have been jumping on that train as well, probably a bit of a hype train as well. But yeah, if you guys are struggling with that, I can highly recommend going on Andrew's YouTube channel and checking out his videos on dopamine detox and see if there's something for you.
Thanks
It's
for the plug.
fantastic. That's fantastic. No, I mean that's the stuff that is gonna give you a very big edge. So I know you're very much tight on time today, and you're very busy, and I appreciate all your insights, guys. Check out school.com/synthesizers and Andrew Kirby on all the socials. You're one of the few that I have not muted on Twitter, so it's also worth following there. Some great tips. Where do you draw your inspiration? Sometimes it just comes up. I have to put out a tweet and get it out there, or do you sit down deliberately working out like a content plan? Is it coming more spontaneously from inspiration?
A lot of it is just things that I see, consume, experience in my own life, lessons that I learned, the synthesizing model.
Yeah.
But also, if you go on my Twitter, I make myself only follow a maximum of 100 people. So you can see some of the inspirations and other people that I like to consume tweets from if you're interested as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you guys have any questions, drop it in the comments, and or I will get back to you. Maybe Andrew will also find the time to answer one of your questions. But yeah, check out his socials as well as school.com. It's certainly a lot of value in there as well. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time. Has been a massive value bomb. So I appreciate that a lot. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy your stay in Bali.
Thank you. Thank you.